Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Rock and Roll 2015, Chapter 840, One Piece Manga. As we get in, we can see deeply and a lot from all the majorly things that happen in this episode. There's some really details that you should really take care of as you listen along. As we start on the beginning of the chapter, Sanji is with, of course, his brother Yanji, as he's showing together the German 66 biggest secret of them all. All right, this is going to come into play a lot later on. My reading, I believe, is that either one of the Straw Hat Pirates is probably going to destroy the machine later on when they get into a bigger battle. I'll get on another episode of that later on about that. But continuing on, as Yanji is showing Sanji around, he's showing that the biggest secret of all is the human creating. And you guys want to take this in kind of a little bit, but just remember a lot that it takes 5 years to make a 20-year-old person, right? And that's something that I'm super glad about. That they put in the manga was just that it could have been any better of that, because if they made it shorter, it would just be like too much mass producing and it would be crazy. So as I say, they had certain people do it. So yeah, and it's something that it's very similar about them. As it goes on, sorry, and he just tells it of how basically that when his father, Judge, was with scientists of the very, very famous, of course, right? Of the very famous Vegapunk, all right? So as we can see, because of that, he got super famous. And so Judge is not only just super badass, but he is also very smart. And we can see that he made this machine just by escaping and creating it in the German 66 and making it the biggest thing ever. Now, and the thing is that which really confuses me is that I know that probably later on, I bet with all my heart that Vegapunk and Monkey D. Luffy are gonna meet together, and they're gonna do something incredible, I believe. And I believe that is probably going to be when the third time skip happens. And I'll tell you later about that also. But getting to that is that Vegapunk get arrested. Now, thinking with that, can Vegapunk actually really get arrested? He is working for the government, so what side is he really on? Does he help him? Does he not? Can he get in trouble? That's really the question about it. But going on, so they tell about how the genetically created, and just tells them of how easily and how it's a super military force, probably because of something in their brain that's basically teleports, as you can see with Sanji versus Judge, how quickly the soldiers are just to sacrifice themselves, and for Judge, of course, and that was something that's very impressive about it. And then another question that starts in your head, how many are actually humans compared to kind of humans? And now we can see this as an actual real thing compared to real life. Take Frankie as an example. You can combine robotics and human life together and still create something. And you can see that with many other people throughout One Piece that had this kind of thing, but not as big as it is right now, and that's why they got rid of it. And as it so going back, and you can see that when Neji and Ichi came in, it was a big impact because they're telling, toughen up, Sanji, you suck, basically. And then Sanji reminds it, oh yeah, what about Kosna, the cook? And so he kicks Neji really hard in the face, and it was a really big impact. kind of surprises him, but quickly reflects this is how super powerful they are, and it gives a little bit of what power they are. But I don't want this to be compared with the AK God in the Sky Arc when the lightning fruit, devil fruit. But I don't want him to be with electricity. That's kind of something, but I don't know if they has a devil fruit. I believe one of them might have, but I'm not certain about that. And it's you got to see if throughout. So yeah, so he kicks him in the face quickly. Ninja reacts back and forth with a knee kick to the back, electricity kick, and then a punch to the face, also that has electricity in it. And so you got to see, okay, so alright, so you can see how fast the movement was, and it's kind of surprises them. So I think they're a little bit in a tougher level than Sanji, but maybe later on they would be the same. Alright, so, and then they go back a little bit into the childhood. Alright, so now it says that these were his super break scientific, that was, their bodies were surpass normal humans. And now here's the thing, so remember, they did have an original mother, so either two things happened. He either put something into the mother that made her die but gave them special abilities, or gave special abilities like injections to them. So either one of those things could have happened. And yeah, and so they were all genetically made, and so it was something kind of very, very special. And so they did the test at the beginning of how to be good, and they could see that Sanji was lagging behind in so many of those things, and that was because, of course, it was he was just not made to be that way. It wasn't him being weak, as you can see at the end of the story, but we could see that he was actually really failing, and it was just really not something that he was born to be, and it's something that you can see that it was strange and something unique. And as you remember, we're going to the backstories of the people, and there's a couple of, as you remember, the Straw Hat Pirates haven't been completely dissected yet as backstories. And now we're getting to Sanji's backstory. It's getting into of how bad most of each pirates of One Piece, by the way, of the Straw Hat Pirates, each have a super sad backstory. None of them in their entire life have a glad moment. And so if you can see, if they ever get a Straw Hat Pirate in their crew that actually becomes actual happy, it's going to be very, very rare to have one of that people kind of doing that. And as we can see, so then we go back also into the history of how then the brothers beat him up because of how bad he is, and Judge is really angry that is not working on Sanji, and so he's kind of angry at both the scientific of what happened, as the scientists explained. Yes, all of them were genetically introduced with something, so something like that. But as you can see, and as I said in the last episode, and it confirms my super duper thing already, so I'm happy about predicting future mangas and coming out right. And it was saying that Ruji is actually kind of Sanji, but she just stands in the way because she doesn't want to be as Sanji right now, abused or bullied, and as you said, so. And so, getting near the end of the episode, basically they're mourning for Sanji, and as a fake death, and as we put Sanji in prison by Judge. I know this episode is a little more short than this other one, but I want to depict a couple of things. So, just get in your heads right now, alright? Start thinking. So, Sanji, what was the first time we saw Sanji? And he was on a boat, remember? He was on a fancy cruise boat, and he was cooking, and he had a happy face on. Just remember that, alright? So, you gotta know some things happen. My prediction is of how he got from prison to there, two things. One, he of course escaped somehow, and I believe that escape was by Roji by a little bit maybe, and that she might help him with that, or he escapes somehow, and he becomes very confirmed about that, and you can see that through the 820 chapters that he'd been through, that he was very, very quiet, and he didn't speak about his past. And his two things that he compared to was cooking and woman. So that started to change. So that was something that he really did at the very, very, very beginning, as you can see when he was cooking with the rat. And he got really angry because of that. So my future is that prediction is that either Roji saved him or he escapes by his power expanding somehow. So don't know about that. But my next video will come out also tonight, as I will post about some future predictions about some super things. So see you all later. Subscribe and like and comment below about what should I do next, and help me so I can challenge the most infamous and, sorry to say, bad anime fan talk. So please subscribe. Talk to you all later. Catch ya.